and welcome to the Alexa Show. I am your host, Alexa Servodidio, and I'm so excited to have with us today NBA's most sought-after trainer, Rob McClanahan. Rob is an author and a motivational speaker. He's also trained NBA stars like Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant. Rob, welcome to the Alexa Show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. So please tell us, how did you get started with working with professional athletes?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a long story, but I played at Syracuse, and then after that, I coached at University of South Florida, assistant coach. My whole dream was coaching college. I wanted to coach in college. That was my thing. Didn't really like it, honestly, the first year I was there. Went back home, became a phys ed teacher, was teaching dodgeball for a living, so it was going well. And next thing you know, I'm living with my mother, and I need some more money, so I started working guys out, in the summer. Some local kids, local stars, what have you, college players. I was 22 years old, 23 at the most. And then I just started networking the heck out of myself, using my connections at Syracuse. My coaches at Syracuse, very well-known people, legends. Pretty much my head coach is a legend there, still is there. So kind of really networked myself, called people, wrote to people. I couldn't really text back then. I was faxing people, things like that. And I became close with the guys at IMG Academy in Florida. Became pretty much, a runner for those guys, whatever they needed, NBA players, rebounding, getting water. Some of the guys really enjoyed my workouts. And then I got really lucky getting into a camp, 2006, called ABCD camp. Met a couple players there. The reason I got in was because I got the fax number of the guy that ran the camp. Another legend, guy, Sonny Vaccaro, and you couldn't get in unless you were an NBA coach, whatever. I was a high school gym teacher basically. So I faxed his house about 60 times straight, 60 straight nights, and he didn't respond to me. Finally, he responded, "All right, you're in. Stop faxing me. This is ridiculous. I don't even know you." I got into the camp, and there I met two players named Kevin Love and Derrick Rose. They were the best high school players in the country pretty much at that time, and they went pro 2 years later, hired me. Next thing you know, I'm training some of the best players in the world, and the top agent in the world hired me after that. So,
and what makes you so, I think, different from the rest is that aside from court training, you take those lessons and you bring them into people's personal lives. What are some of your key cornerstone philosophies and advice that you could give us that you also give the athletes?
Yeah, the first thing I tell them when they go pro, at that point they're 19, 20 years old, so relatively young. You and I were in college partying, they become pros at 19, 20. So the first thing I say is live like a pro. Now you don't just play like a pro, practice like a pro, you live like a pro. What does that mean? That means hold yourself accountable, be on time, be professional, look people in the eye, get to the gym early, stay to the gym late, eat well, sleep well. I think that really applies to everything in life, and that's the first thing I say is live like a pro. If you're a Rob McClanahan per se, and you're the CEO of your company, everything you do around you, every single day, the people you have around you is going to really either help your company or hurt it. And I think it really applies to the player too.
Yes. And I think it's really important that what you're doing is you're really helping them and having them grow in all different areas of your life. Especially, yes, they want to be pro, but they have to address the physical areas, the emotional areas, but also the different areas on the court and outside the court, which I think is so important because so many times people think, okay, I train hard and I do what I can for my passion, but then maybe they don't live as healthy as they should. They, maybe don't hang around with the healthiest people, and they don't realize how much that really impacts your growth and also your path towards your goal.
Yeah, very true. With you and I, we might be able to have a bad day and figure it out, or stay at home, or leave it to ourselves. They're in the public eye every single day. So, I think people see the glory of what they do, but they're just like us. They're just like us. They have bad days. They have bad breakups. They have money problems sometimes, whatever it is. And it's funny because Kevin Love's a great friend of mine and my son's godfather. And about a few years back, he came out with this whole story on his mental health. He had anxiety, depression, a lot. And I didn't even know this. He's one of my closest friends. But he made that aware to everybody out of nowhere. And after he did that, all these other guys started coming out. Michael Phelps from the Olympics, other NBA players. So they have to live their life every day like any other professional. But the problem with them is, it's in the public eye. People think, oh, they have all this money, their life is perfect. Well, it's not. They're just like me and you. So they have a tough life sometimes, just like us. But they have to approach it every single day as a professional. If they don't, sleep well, they don't eat well one day, or they stop working out, the paychecks stop coming in. They don't play well, and the next thing you know, they're 27 years old and retired. So, but I always say, off the court is much more important than on the court. Because if you don't do what is right off the court, training, networking, eating well, nutrition, treat people the right way, then that's going to really help you on the court. And remember, some of these guys are retired at 32 years old. So then what? So if you have a good network after that, you're fine. If not, it's a struggle.
Yes. And I think it's so much, so hard work it would be, if you think about a 19-year-old, 20-year-old mind and helping them really grasp and hold on to what the bigger picture is. And I can imagine how much work that is, though, for you, and really dedication to be with them at all times and in all different areas of their life to really reinforce them, but then also to teach them the importance of all those personal relationships, all of those decisions really have an impact on the bigger picture.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely goes a long way with, how they are, professionally. If they're not doing things the right way, it really trickles down, to, people around them, what have you. And the other thing they have to, worry about is people take advantage of them. When they come to the pro, they're 20 years old. So they have people, grabbing at them all the time and trying to get, whatever it is. So that's tough too. When you're 19, 20 years old, you have all this money, who are you taking care of? Who don't you take care of? Are you hiring your boy to be a financial guy? Are you hiring an actual financial guy? So you hear nightmare stories about these guys. So I think they're just like everyone else, but the difference is they start with the 1920,
I can imagine such hard life lessons they learn along the way.
Yeah.
They come into all this money. Who do you trust? Who do you make these big decisions? Who do you let these people make these big decisions? And it's really hard to learn. I can imagine they learn the hard way a lot of times and really have to learn who's their support system, who to trust, and who's really there for them and who's not and just wants something from them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of these guys, as you're saying, I'm not just a trainer. There's so many times more than that, and that's really, when I do my motivational speaking stuff, I always say if they don't trust me off the court, they're not going to trust me on the court. So if they trust me there first, I think it applies to everything. If you're a financial person, if you're a real estate person, if they don't trust you outside the office, why would they trust you, inside the office or selling the house or handling their money? So that's what I try to do first. I'm not that guy to just work them out and send them an invoice. It's work them out and say, hey, let's go get lunch. Let's go. How's your kid doing? How's your wife doing? How's your grandmother still sick? Whatever it is. I'm really a big part of their life. And I think that's why a lot of these guys have retained me for so long.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you're part of their family. It's not just the trainer. You're their family, their confidant, their person who can really help them with those big decisions when everybody else is grabbing at them and they don't know which way to go. It's really, you're that pivotal person in their life that I believe everybody needs, that person they can go to and just really trust. Now, in your book, Network, you speak about networking and personal relationships. What is that all about?
Yeah, so networking was, the reason I'm here right now. I could be the best trainer in the world. If I didn't network, I wouldn't have been able to train these guys. You can't just all of a sudden train a Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or Kevin Love. It just doesn't happen because everyone in the world wants to train them, right? So when I first started getting into this, I had a list of people I wanted to contact, about 50 to 75 people back in 2000, let's say 1, 2, and I was writing letters and reaching out to everybody. And I always say my whole slogan is shoot your shot. So it applies to on the court and off the court. If you reach out to 50 people a day, 10 people may get back to you. That's fine. You reach out to 80 people a day, 15 people might get back to you. Reach out to 5 people a day, none might get back to you. So it's really, play the percentages, right? And if the more people you reach out to, the more people, the bigger network you'll have. And not only that, but it's hard to network. To me, it's a full-time job to not only reach out to people, but then once you do, how are you going to retain that relationship? How often are you reaching out to people? And it's not a 9 to 5 thing. And I think now a lot of CEOs and executives are having issues with these millennials in their early 20s, thinking networking is a 9 to 5 thing, and they just go with a quick text message, or there's nothing face to face, especially with the pandemic anymore. So it's a hard thing to do, and it's something I should really enjoy doing. And when I speak to these companies or what have you, and talk about it in my book, the networking is a major part of any industry. But again, it's a skill, in my opinion. It's a skill. How are you doing it? How many people you reach out to a day? Are you following up? Are you not following up? And my whole thing is, if it's always business, it's not going to work out. You have to reach out to people and say, oh, I know what you're doing. It's birthday. Happy birthday, whatever. You have to be part of their life, bigger than just the job stuff. If not, they're going to find somebody else pretty quick.
I think it is important, as you said, it's not 9 to 5. And I think most jobs are at 9 to 5, especially when it's your passion and you're working with your product as a person. It doesn't just end at 5 o'clock. It just keeps on going. And I think people have to have that resilience, but also to be able to persevere and to keep moving forward, keep contacting, keep going afterwards, even if sometimes you get a no or you don't get a response.
Right.
I believe it's important to keep on knocking, keep pounding the pavement, because it's a numbers game. And after so many tries, the numbers are you will get some response and be able to kind of go on from there.
Right. Like you said, even no is a response. So until I at least get a no, I'm going to keep reaching out to you. And that was my thing, especially early on in my career. When I got into that camp, ABCD camp, when I met the guy that ran the camp finally, he said, man, you wouldn't stop faxing me. And I said, well, you never said no. And it's funny because I was really nervous to meet the guy, what have you. I was 23 years old. This camp, couldn't get into this camp. And after that, he kind of respected me more, and we became very, very close. And he started sending me more players. And, I worked the camp the next 4 years, but my whole thing was, well, you didn't even say no. So at least you could have gave me no. I kept faxing you because, maybe you would say yes. And you did, so it's definitely true of that too. And it's a great story. I think the owner of Netflix, the guy that created Netflix, when he came out of school, he applied for this job. There was about 100 people to this marketing company. And he got down to the last 5. And at this point, he's just this, entry level position. And this guy had no money, just trying to get his first job. And now we're down to 5 people. And the head marketing guy at that company said, all right, down to 5 people, and interview one more time and I'll pick one. And he did that. And then he said, sorry, I'm not going to take anybody. Just no one's here right for the job, and I'm sorry. And they were like so confused. Well, the guy that ended up creating Netflix, he went back the next day and said, what could I have done better? Why didn't I get this job? And he goes, you have the job. And he was waiting for that person to come back and really, say, what can I do better? And that's the person he hired.
Yeah, it sets that person apart from everybody else. And I think it's anyone who's willing to learn, to adjust, to kind of figure out, be flexible. And I think that's so important, whatever business you're in or industry, is you have to be flexible. Yes, you can have an idea, a structure of how you'd like something to look, but you have to be flexible to work with people, to have the picture change a little bit, and to be able to say, okay, I can work with this, and be able to be able to be on your feet and be able to kind of impromptu and improv back and forth to what really fits each scenario. Now, you also speak about accountability, which I think is so important. I think so many people don't understand it or don't feel it's necessary. What does accountability mean to you?
A big thing is a small thing, but it's real, just being on time. In my field, listen, some of these guys are just, everyone every single day is whatever you want, have your autograph, and kind of people all around, yes man, all around them, right? So with me, when I first started doing this, I remember, I think it was Kevin Durant, or somebody was 5 minutes late. And most guys would be like, oh, it's okay, Kevin. With me, for some reason, my dad was lieutenant colonel. Maybe that's why, growing up like that. But I was like, you can't be late, man. I was like, I'm 5 minutes late. I'm like, any other job. Mm-hmm. 5 minutes late, you have one more chance and that's it. So what if I was late for you? You'd probably be pissed off at me too, right? But I'm the trainer. I'm here waiting. He goes, all right, I got it. And he actually, the funny part is, I think most people would think, oh, he must have been like, oh man, Rob, who are you? Who do you think you are? But he was the opposite. He was like, finally, someone told me accountable. My whole life, it's like, oh, it's Kevin Durant. It's whatever he wants. He's late. Oh, it's okay. And the irony is, that's what he was looking for. He wanted someone to hold him accountable. So being on time is a huge thing. Another thing is, it's 1 hour a day. I train these guys, hour and a half at the most. And I always say, put in that hour. So when you leave that after the hour, say, I got better today. If not, I'm gonna hold you accountable for it. I don't care if you miss shots. You can miss shots all you want as long as you're going hard like you would in the game. So those are the two main things. And the other thing is, if you screw up or you make a bad decision, just own it. I would say own it and move on. Don't. Everyone makes mistakes. You're human just like us. A lot of these guys in the NBA, professional athletes, thinks they don't make mistakes. They never kind of, as we say, own it. So I make sure they do that and treat people the way you want to be treated. A lot of these guys I've seen, like Steph Curry, is just an unbelievable human being. I mean, he looks people in the eye, treats people like he's more happy to meet you than vice versa. And I've seen other guys do the opposite, look down on people if they're not, at their level, whatever it is. And when they're 30 years old, 32 years old, and they retire, there's no one there for them. So those are the three main things. But it really gets back to just being on time. With that hour with me, put in your fullest effort. I always say this to these guys: listen, you're playing basketball for a living. Be happy you're playing basketball. Be happy you're making that kind of money. So all these, there's 450 players in the world playing in the NBA. 450. That's it. So,
And structure is so important. I think that's the most important thing too. Everybody needs structure. And I think sometimes when you are on the top and the world is looking at you and people are giving you things and everything's at your feet, you need to be also grounded. And I think to be focused, on the game, on your skills, but also on how you can improve yourself, your sense of self, who you are all around. And you really need that person that you can go to say, hey, what am I doing? And I think also to humble yourself, because anyone, it's hard to kind of sit back and look at yourself in the mirror and say, what was my role in this? But I think it's so empowering to be able to say, hey, today was just an off day, or maybe I didn't concentrate, or I should really be on time more. Because I think that also gives people a purpose and realizes you do have an impact. Everything we do each day has such an impact. And sometimes people don't realize the small things we do has the impact on the bigger things and on the larger picture.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, every time I always tell these guys, every time they meet a person, whether it's a 10-year-old kid that's a fan or a 30-year-old, guy like I was, they're making a huge impact on those people. And Michael Jordan always said, everyone asked Michael Jordan, why did you always look perfect? Like you always had like the perfect suit on, the perfect tie, always ironed. And he said, well, listen, he said two things. First of all, I dress like that because a lot of people in this world want to meet me. And sometimes they meet me one time in their life. So if they're going to meet me one time in their life, I'm going to look like a professional. And the other thing he said was, I always play every single game, never take a night off, and give it my hardest because all these people are in here because of me paying that ticket. If they're going to see me play one time, I'm going to do my best effort. And I mean, that's too professional, obviously. But that's the approach I think everyone should take. A lot of these people are spending a lot of money for a ticket, or they're trying whatever they can to meet you for that one time, and they're making a huge impact sometimes on these little kids. So treat them like
you're a role model. And I think sometimes people, don't realize, especially when you start off at 19, 20, you don't maybe realize the importance of being a role model. You have, yes, young children, adolescents, but you also have grown-ups looking at you and they really admire you and want to be like you. So I think it's so important. Yes, it's a lot of pressure to have on someone, but I think it's also having that in their back of their mind too, that you're a role model. You are setting an example for those that are coming. Now, NBA player Derrick Rose has credited you for helping him being an NBA All-Star. How can anyone watching be an All-Star in their life, no matter what they do?
Yeah, with a lot of things. I think first of all is, again, treat people with respect and how they, you want to be treated. I think secondly, give it your all every day. It sounds a cliche, but I'm just telling you from the people that I've seen that are all-stars, like Derrick Rose has put in the work every single day. And it's, because of that, he's made a lot of money. He's become an all-star, become an MVP. And I've seen other guys on the other side that might be just as talented as him, but didn't put the work in every day. And started seeing people going past them that were working harder. So it sounds cliche, but I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where, you're not gonna put in your best every day. Then it's someone's gonna catch up to you, right? And the other thing is show up every day. Show up every day. There's a lot of players that I've seen that work out twice a week, and I've seen other players that have to beg not to work out one day a week. and those are the players that have become, the all-stars. And I think, a guy like Derrick Rose, I mean, the most Steph Curry, Kevin, the most humble people you'll ever meet in your life. When Derrick's been through 6, 7 bad injuries, and he had $200-300 million in the bank already, and he could have gave up, but he persevered. He got through it, and some dark times. I'm sure he was, not doing well. I'm sure he was depressed, things like that, because they were he went from being this MVP, best player in the world, top 5 player in the world, to an average player, pretty fast. And now he's come back up to really get to that all-star level again. But he could have given up and really took his money and ran and had a great life. But he persevered, and I just can't believe, what he got through. But I think it's like anything else, especially during this pandemic. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people obviously everyone's struggling, small business owners, things like that. So I can't imagine what some people are going through. But, this is the time you really got to get through it. You really got to get through it. You really got to persevere and just know that it's going to get better at some point.
And what you said is not giving up. And I think we all go through dark times in our life. And I think sometimes it seems like, how can it get better? It's never going to get better. But I think the important part is, I know it's not easy. It's hard. It's tough work to keep kind of pushing through, keep putting that one foot in front of the other and seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, even though if it's dim, it's showing up, and just keep pushing through and not taking no as an answer. Yes, I know sometimes the circumstances with the pandemic make things that we want to do that we can't do, but I think it's, again, being flexible. How can we do it under different circumstances really can make you, when these other circumstances go away, it's like I say, it's like boot camp. Right now, we're almost in like a boot camp because we have to figure things out under such severe restrictions.
Right.
Imagine when we come out of this, it's going to be like, wow. And I think it's being able not to take for granted what we have every day in our life and being able to implement them in every area of our life, which really makes us shine through, but keep moving forward and not giving up.
Right. Yep. True. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's easier to say, obviously, than to do as much. But I've seen it, and I've seen guys get through things. I mean, Kevin Love's a great example of someone I didn't see. I didn't know he was depressed. I didn't know he was having anxiety all the time. No one knew. And that's when he came out with this article, because he just thought he had to make people weird, because there was times he wasn't playing in the games and people know what was going on. And they were saying, oh, he's just being lazy. Finally, he's like, no, it's not what's going on. This is what's going on, and he struggles with it still every single day, but he's out there spreading the word. And it's, like I said earlier, when he came out with that, next thing you know, you had 3 or 4 NBA guys come out. Michael Phelps came out, said he was suicidal after the Olympics. This is a guy who won 20-something gold medals. You think his life is just perfect, so guys going through all this stuff, anybody, any industry is going through stuff right now. But again, I think you just gotta push through and know that, it's listen, it can only get better right from here. I mean,
Absolutely.
So.
And I agree with that. And I know, working as a psychotherapist, a lot of my clients, suffer from anxiety, depression, and it is very hard to get through. And I can only imagine an NBA player having to perform, having to be on the court in front of everyone, having to also.
And everyone thinks their life is all this thing, Rolls Royce, man, everyone thinks they're like, and it's funny because a lot of these guys came out and said that they've been depressed for a couple of years, and people on like social media is, responding, how can you be depressed? You make $40 million a year. And it's like, there's nothing to do with it. Like I still have to go home at night. I still got to go lay in bed. I still got to smile to the media every single day. So,
It's not the objects. It's not the destination. It's the journey. And I think just because people have all these material things or they're living the dream being an NBA star doesn't mean they're not human. They hurt. They feel bad. They have anxiety. They have depression. And I really commend all of those that come out and say that they are suffering with these, because I think it's such an example and also hope and inspiration for all those that are watching, and just one of those things that they give back to community, which is just so amazing to be able to help and touch someone's life that's watching.
Yeah, it's very true. And they touch a lot of people's lives, probably more than they ever think, and I learned a lot from them, just as much, probably more than they learned from me. And I've been all around the world with these guys, seeing the impact that they have on these people and these kids and industries and companies. So there's a lot of pressure on them. But again, they're going through the same stuff we are. And, we can just go home at night and throw on TV. They have to look into the media every single day. It's just, so it's weird. It's different.
who do you go to? What do you do? Because I think you take on so much with all the
Yep.
different players and being their rock. How
Yep.
do you be, who's a rock for you, or what do you do to help you kind of decompress and also process everything that you work with?
I mean, I have three beautiful kids, which, make me happy. I have a 7-year-old and I have two 5-year-old twins. So
Wow.
that's great. When I get off the road to see them, and it's kind of cool. I have a, kind of a cool job where I can bring these guys, my two daughters and my son, to meet these guys, go in the locker room, and they probably don't realize how cool that is now. I mean, Kevin Love's my son's godfather, and he's been around him a lot in the locker room and on the court. And so that's kind of a cool, perk that I have. It's kind of cool to do that. And so being around them is great. I work out a lot. I really just decompress. When I get up the road, I love working out. And that's just I have a great girlfriend who really supports the heck out of me, and she understands my job. And I don't have a 9 to 5. I might get a call today. I got to fly out tomorrow. So I'm here, there, and everywhere. So. But yeah, that's really it. My job is always on the go sometimes, or it's just on a leave for like 10 days. So, but watching the game tonight is part of my job, so that's kind of a cool perk. Watching the game is working. So
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for all your wonderful tips and advice and everything that you do. It's truly amazing.
thanks so much. I really appreciate having me on.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And please make sure every day you find your peace within the chaos. Everyone have a good night and God bless.